There's something religious about the Democrats' advance of their climate agenda. They are convinced by faith that the people who lost their jobs building the Keystone XL pipeline will get better paying jobs in this brave new world that takes climate change seriously. They're convinced by faith. There's no evidence of it. There's more evidence that Jesus Christ was real and rose again from the dead than there is that these people who are losing their jobs are going to get better jobs in this Green New Deal. You know, historically, there's a ton of evidence that a guy named Jesus was real, and there's a ton of evidence that he rose again from the dead. There really isn't any evidence at all that you're going to get a better job if you lose your job to the Green New Deal. John Kerry, remember him the other day, said these people, they can go make solar panels. Well, the problem is that the solar panels, they're made in China. Listen to John Kerry the other day.
Not adverse to working on this with the Obama administration. China was very key to helping to get the Paris Agreement to come together, because the United States and China came together, worked together, put together an opportunity to have a working task force, and then we announced our reductions, and that gave great momentum to the movement of Europe. Now, I think the formula may be different this year. We don't know yet. We're just getting in. But we have to have a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and that's what we're going to do.
And you mentioned during a press conference earlier that some of the fastest growing jobs before the pandemic were in clean energy and clean power. That speaks positively to young people who may be looking for jobs. But then what do you say to those who may be unemployed workers now? How do you get them into the mix? And how do you speak to the concerned oil and gas workers as well?
We need to put them to work. We need to absolutely put them to work. We need to keep them in their communities where they live. We need to make sure that the factories are coming to those communities, whether it's a new electric car factory or it's making blades for windmills or turbines or whatever. We have great need for people to work in this field, and it's critical. I've had conversations with some of my friends involved in this about how we could create some demonstration projects in those communities so people can see it's not just political talk, it's actually real economic policy that has a consequence, a positive one, on their lives.
That's by faith. They don't have that. Yes, there are jobs in the green energy sector. Yes, there are. There are different jobs from the skill set of building a pipeline. And they're in different locations in the country. So what you're telling the guy in Montana, in the Dakotas, who's losing their job, is you got to pack up, you got to move your family to a different state, you got to apply for a job, and you've got to learn new skill sets, not the skill set you have. But they just, if they repeat the mantra, they think that over and over, people will actually embrace it. People will actually believe it. Oh, there are lots of new jobs. Well, and they're also government subsidized jobs in many cases. They're not actually comparable jobs. You got to have a lot of religious fervor to believe that. They are putting people on the sidelines. Joe Biden has been president for not even 2 full weeks. He's putting people out of work. He's putting hardworking Americans out of work, who, by the way, were helping America do what? Become energy independent. And the whole idea that we're going to convert the entire country, like Joe Biden wants to convert the entire country to electric cars. General Motors says it's going to transition out of the combustion engine by, 2030 something. The whole reason is because Joe Biden signed a executive order that they're going to put the federal fleet is going to have to become electric. Going to have to plug up all the cars, which is going to strain the electric grid, which is going to cause new power plants. They don't want nuclear, so you're going to have to do oil and gas. Why? Because the sun doesn't always shine and the wind doesn't always blow. And there's not everywhere set up for hydroelectric power. So you're going to have something that the base power stays on. I know there are a lot of people who want cleaner power. They want clean energy. They're worried about climate change. I get it. I get it. But selling people false hope is only going to build resentment. The Democrats undermine their climate agenda. And how do I know? Australia. In Australia, the left there did exactly the same thing. They rushed forward with their Green Deal to save Australia and save the planet. And it blew up in their face. People didn't want to pay higher taxes. People didn't want to pay more money. People didn't want to lose their jobs. People didn't like what they claimed to be doing, and they lost. They lost at a time polling showed they were going to win. They actually lost. And they lost on the environmental issue. I mean, there was no dispute. That's why they lost, and that's going to happen here too. And the Democrats will resent like hell that someone voted against them. I mean, just like, everybody who voted for Donald Trump was a racist. Now, anyone who votes against them over this climate stuff hates the planet. They're a hater. They're going to ruin the planet. Democrats are convinced only they can save the planet. But you know what? Emissions in the United States have continued to fall in the private sector. You've got American companies like Apple that are continuing to transition to clean energy without government mandate. You don't really need government mandate to make this stuff happen, but the Democrats believe you've got to have the government involved. The government's got to do it or else, instead of letting people make a choice about it themselves. In denying people that choice, they're going to build a backlash. And in building a backlash,